Hey guys, Rescue Rabbit 101 here. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. I kind of lost my interest, but I'm going to try to post daily, and if I can't get it out, I'm sorry if things get in the way. At minimum, I would like to start posting once a week, and I think a good way to start it off would be just to do a ban list review. And if you guys have anything you want me to do, especially, I'd be willing to do it if you just leave a comment down below. Alrighty, so let's start with the ban cards. And I'm sorry you probably have all heard these before, but I figured it's just a good place to start. Alrighty, so Super Poly is banned. Personally, I think that this does make a lot of sense. The deck, this is mainly, I feel, a hit on Shaddolls, because that's really the only deck that was playing it, and Shaddolls now have 3 copies of El Shaddol Fusion, so they're near guaranteed to get it. And El Shaddol Fusion is already a fusion card in the battle phase to assist with the OTKs. The fact that it can only be played once a turn is to limit its strength, but Super Poly is one that can now, that can another thing, but it can fuse with your opponent's monsters, which makes it even better. And its inability to be chained to is one of the greatest factors. I feel that if Xyz Encore was being played more competitively, that it would also possibly suffer the same fate. So, on to limited. Artifact Merle Tech. I feel like the Artifact engine, because the deck can play, first of all, it gives you an extra MST in the form of Artifact Ignition, which, while it is not the greatest card to, then end up with your dead Merle Techs on the field, it isn't terrible, because it is deck thinning, and especially with the power of Sanctum, and that was the big card, is that the ability to pop a card, and the thing about it is you don't go neg. In theory, and you'll think cards like Fire Lake you don't go neg either, but in theory, Fire Lake is a break even. This card isn't even a break even in theory. Like, you summon a 21 beater at no cost, and you get to blow up any card. And because the 21 beater can then be brought back with Call of the Haunted to continue to blow up cards, I feel that Merle Tech makes sense. Though I do also feel that, it's a little bit late, but, and, no deck was really playing it. Like, Artifact Shaddolls basically stopped, but we don't want a recurrence, perhaps in some future format, of the Artifact engine, and that's basically going to tank the Artifact deck. Dark Strike Fighter back at 1. Well, this is obvious. Personally, I think it could have easily gone to 3 with the errata that it can only be used during your main phase 1 and only once per turn. The card is not nearly as strong as it once was. Yes, it can still push out game on your next turn. That's really not all that, hot. I think that Black Rose is just a generally better card. And personally, it could have gone to 3, but I think they're going to do the same thing they're doing with Goya, which is started out slow. Snatch Steal. Alrighty, let's talk about this. As we've seen in the OCG, they have basically gotten a lot of ban cards back off the list. And as we know, Konami wants every ban card to, come off the list at some point. And I feel that this kind of, for Shaddolls, this makes up for their Super Poly loss. For any deck that makes Xyz, you can snatch 1 from your opponent. And it also gives at least a decent out to Cleethorts, because you can snatch steal their card equipped with Sacrifice. And it gives you kind of the way that they were putting out the 21 beater, and it kind of gives you a way over it with a lot less cards. Snatch Steal, I feel, is not going to be played. I could maybe see it get sided. I think most anti-meta is going to play it. Shaddolls might play it as a replacement for Super Poly. We'll just have to see how things develop. And I feel like the big thing I feel like is if Konami wanted a time to take off Snatch Steal, this would really be it, because this is the format of floaters, where everything floats in this format. Like, you Snatch Steal my Dante, okay. I don't care. As soon as it dies, I get my resources. And I feel that in a lot of decks, Downward is just going to become put in the extra deck, even if they can't really make it, just so if you Snatch Steal Dante's, you can make Downward over it. On to the next thing. Honest is back at 2. So, again, I think it's 2 reasons. One, Satellar Knights have kind of fallen off the map. Yes, they're a good deck, but they're not Shadalls or things like that. And especially with the new figuring out that Denko dolls are good. And Konami obviously wants Denko Sekka to sell. It's one of the new cards, and it's an Ultra. Honest was a good card in that deck. And at 2, it's going to encourage play of Denko dolls even more. Especially by limiting Muraltech, which means that people are going to need more copies of Denko Sekka. Honest back at 2 also helps, like I said, Satellars. I think it can kind of get the boost of Battery Man, which also have fallen off the map. And yeah, Goyo back at 2. This is pretty obvious. Goyo did absolutely nothing last format. It could go to 3, but I guess Konami likes to take it slow when taking ban cards off, because otherwise terrible things happen. Dark Hole to 2. This is going to mean almost nothing to the metagame. I mean, there's 2 ways you can look at it. One, we already have a Raigeki, and most decks aren't playing Raigeki to begin with. So, the fact that we now have Dark Hole back at 2, you can look at it that no one's going to play it anyways, because, why not just play Raigeki? The other way you can look at it is that this is kind of the boost to anti-meta, because this means now I have 3 board wipes. However, like I said with Snatch Steal, this is the format of floaters. Yes, you have 3 board wipes. None of them are going to kill my advantage, really. And I feel like in the decks that do play it, this is going to mean that you're going to be running into a lot more board wipes than you normally would, and that top decking Dark Hole is no longer the legendary thing it was once. You could open it realistically, Dark Hole or Raigeki, because there's a total of 3. So, you're going to see it a lot more, but it probably won't even be played for the most part. And off the list, Gale. Blackwings have gotten reprints in the Legendary collections, so that's no surprise that they're going to give them a little bit more support. Gund, back at 3. Mermail's kind of basically completely fell off the map with Gun gone, and I mean, the deck against Cleese, it's fine, and unless you can't get over their Snatch Steal. I mean, their Sacrifice, my bad. Dolls, it's who OTKs faster, but it's generally going to be Dolls, and Burning Abyss, you're still running into the problem of Fire Lake, so I don't see a reason why Mermails can't, be thrown into the game. They can probably hold their own fairly well, and they kind of did fall off the map, same with Blackwings, so these boosts are fine. Tengu back at 3. Let's see. Quasar just got a reprint. Glow Up Bulb just got a reprint. Glow Up Bulb actually came back to 1 on the last ban list, which, yes, I know it was 4 months back, but Glow Up Bulb hasn't done anything in the format. I don't really see a reason why, Tengu should be much more. Yes, Tengu is an incredible card. I am not disbelieving that. Tengu is 1700 as also. All the Clees are 18. Every single one of them beats over it, except Scout. But Scout's different. And especially when they're equipped with their sacrifices. A lot of the dull monsters are bigger than Tengu, and frankly, Tengu is a great card, like I said, but it's kind of slow because you waste your turn 1 normal summon to put out the Tengu if that's your opening play, and then you can't do anything that turn, really, because the deck needs, a turn or 2 to set up. So I feel that while it's a great card, and it'll definitely give Synchro decks a little boost of speed, it won't push them over the top, but it will give them the speed they need to compete. Reasoning back at 3. This is probably entirely for Infernoids. No, it's definitely entirely for Infernoids. When that comes out, Reasoning just makes that deck fly. Like Reasoning Curry Bandit Monster Gate. I wouldn't be shocked if Monster Gate came back to 2, because I think it's limited. But Reasoning just going to make the deck fly. That's a good card, and they need to support Infernoids, because Necloths are also coming out, and so are Spirit Beasts. Transmigration Prophecy. The card hasn't seen any play, but I guess they're putting it back at 3 as, if you want to side deck it. On to the things that I think could have happened, and that most people thought could have happened, but I didn't see happen. Stratos. I still don't understand why they didn't give Stratos back. I mean, Heroes just lost their Super Poly. Their Structure Deck's coming out. Why not get Stratos back? I'm kind of shocked they didn't put it back. If they don't now, I'd be really surprised if they don't put it back next format. Like, because the deck will be out and running at that point, and that'll just be a really great boost. They want it to sell, and I personally think Stratos isn't that broken. Konami, you can have Stratos off the list and Malicious at 3. Tell it out it's not coming back. There's a lot of other ban cards that could have come off. So let's be honest, Sinister Serpent doesn't need to stay on here. It doesn't do anything. And neither probably does, Tribe. There's tons of ban cards. There's a couple ban cards probably that could come off, but that's just the one that I think should have come off. Other cards that I think should have gotten moved around. I don't really think there's any. I didn't give my predictions a lot of thought beforehand. But cards that they didn't hit. First of all, the entire top 3 deck of Shadol, excluding the Super Poly, which they got it made up for in the Snatch Steal and the Honest and all the other things they got back. Well, mostly those two. I feel like the reason they didn't hit Dolls is because, like, personally, if I had been them hitting Dolls, the most I would have done is put El Shadol Fusion to 1. Because that card, if they draw it, it's the nuts. But the problem is, if you hit the Dolls Fusion cards, it's just goes back to its former speed, which isn't that fast. Burning Abyss. Okay, if you put Fire Lake at 2, yeah, they're not going to draw it, but generally they mill it anyways. Like, Dante can mill through their deck so fast that they're generally going to, if they mill the Fire Lake regardless, they're going to get it. And especially because they're putting out new Burning Abyss support, and this is like one of their only good TCG exclusive decks, I don't think they want to inflict as much hurt on it, especially with the Super Edition just having been released and all this stuff coming out. And Burning Abyss, they're kind of hoping, I believe, can stand up against Nicholas. Why they didn't hit anything in Cleese has just come out. They're getting more support. And let's be honest, yeah, people are like, oh, you can put Scout at 1. Yes, but then that kills the deck. You could put Disc at 2, but then that doesn't really hurt the deck. Like, there's this fine line between killing the deck and not hurting the deck, and at some point Konami's going to cross that line, and until then there's not as much they can do. And I know probably most people are going to disagree with me on this point, but if you put Scout at 2, they're still playing 3 Summoner's Art, and they're probably then going to put Climate Change up to 2 to recycle Scout more. So you're still dealing with Scout 1 in every 8 cards, and then they might even start playing Upstarts, so it's even better odds. So that's my thought process. And it's new, of course. Skill Drain and Vanities. Why those cards didn't get hit. Hitting Vanities would have messed up. Legendary Collection 5Ds has been out for a while, but the big sell card in that, and especially because Christmas is, like, right, after the list gets leaked, the big sell card in that was Vanities. And while Vanities does do terrible things and can just auto-win games, because I said on my field you don't, Vanities is fairly outable, especially with MST being main decked in triples as a staple in this format. And Vanities, in fact, can be helpful in the sense that slower decks can use Vanities to bring other decks down to their pace. But I still believe Vanities should not have been left at 3, because at 3 the card, you are more likely to draw 2 with it, and then it becomes stupid. I think it should have at least gone to 2. I think banning a 1 is a little excessive. Especially right now with the Legendary Collection 5Ds right behind us. Skill Drain. Personally, I would have loved to have seen Skill Drain get hit. I dislike the card. I dislike the idea that but then I disliked Decree too, so, and that wasn't going to get hit for sure. I feel like they didn't hit Skill Drain because Skill Drain has kind of, yes, it's still being played in Cleaves, of course, but, you know, Burning Abyss are all Grave effects anyways, and just looking at it from a perspective of the top 3 decks only, Burning Abyss should all send Cleaves. Cleaves play the card. Burning Abyss, their Grave effects, yes, it hurts them, but they play Fire Lake too, which is another card everyone was complaining about. And Dolls can still spam while the card's on field. Again, most of their effects are in Grave. And that's why cards like Macro and Deithage and Soul Drain could have come back to 2, should have come back to 2, but weren't going to come back to 2. So that's just my reflection and thoughts on it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comment section below, and anything you guys want me to do. I really do this for you guys, so anything you want me to do, I'll probably do it if I can remember and accomplish it. So yeah, RiceCarbot 101 signing out.